Welcome back to Project Hardway. In today's video, we're changing the motor mounts on a 1997 Honda Accord, and we also take a look at the absolute worst oil pan gasket I think I've ever seen in my life. While you're here, check out a couple other videos on that car and the entire buildup of the big block engine in this 1979 Chevy Camaro. And remember, always like and subscribe, leave a comment in the video. Thanks for watching. Okay, so I hope I fixed that oil leak. Now to here. You can see this oil pan gasket is cooked. Like, I'm gonna have to do some work to get that off. Jeez Louise. But a little bit of elbow grease. I'll get that off there, then I'll clean the pan up. You see it's got, it's kind of strange, just on the inside of the oil pan, but it's just got stuff caked all over it. But we'll get it all cleaned up and slap the pan back on there. I don't even know where to begin with this thing. Oh, jeez. It sounded like it shot across the shop. I think I'm gonna have to go to a metal blade. All right, metal blade in. Holy crap. It's hot in here. Good Lord. This thing is cooked. I don't think I've ever dealt with an oil pan that is as fried as this thing is. I mean, it is one with the pan. This is gonna take a while. All right, quick update on where I'm at with this oil pan gasket. This is the worst oil pan gasket I think I've ever dealt with in my entire life. I tried, I broke the metal blade on the scraper severely. And then I tried hitting it with the torch a little bit and then hitting it with this regular scraper. And I'll tell you, that thing flexed and it made my life flash before my eyes. I thought it was gonna shatter and hit me in the face. So now I've reverted to 1-inch chisel and a hammer. And this is what I'm getting out of it. I mean, this is just, don't bring your Honda to me and say, Jeff, I need an oil pan gasket, because I'm not putting it on there. I've also been joined in the shop by my son and my wife. Stop! I'm done with this thing. I hate this car now. I just want to push it outside the shop and leave it there until the neighbors call codes. And once codes come and tell me I need to get rid of it, well, I just want to drag it off down the road and leave it on the side of the road somewhere and pretend that Honda never had an Accord for 1997. But I digress. Got this guy out. Going to take this, hook it up to the air, clean up the edges of the pan, and finally get the damn thing back on there. Okay, finally I got the old pan gasket off and everything cleaned up. After wearing through one disc on my angle grinder, kind of got the bright idea, run it through the wire brush on the shop bench. That cleaned it up good enough. I do have a little bit of silicone underneath the gasket here. We'll let that get tacky. I've got the bolts in the holes to keep everything lined up, so I'm not fighting with that when I'm under the car. Okay, finally I've got that oil pan on there. While I'm down there, I'm going to slap a new oil filter on it. Look, listen, the only oil filter you should be using on your car is a Bosch Premium. And you can argue with me all you want in the comment section, but you're wrong. However, most stores don't carry the Bosch Premium anymore. So sometimes I'll settle for the Mobile One filter. I also buy all my stuff at Walmart. You're not going to get anywhere cheaper but Walmart. But they were sold out of the Mobile One filter for this car, so I had to settle on the K&N. So we're going to slap that in there. And guys, I don't care what you say. This is your oil. Castrol GTX, high mileage, unless your stuff calls for synthetic, then you use the Castrol Edge. They've got that in a high mileage too. So I'm going to slap that on there and just pour it in there. And then we'll move on to the motor mounts. Got my motor mounts out of the box. Now I've got them in proximity to where they go. This one has an actuator on it, vacuum actuator for something. I don't know what, I don't care to Google it. If you know what it is, drop that in the comments section for me. So throw on a time lapse real quick, knock this battery out. I'm going to go for the low hanging fruit first because I don't feel like crawling around right now is what I'm saying. So here we go. Okay, first one is out. You might have noticed in the time lapse me struggling. I had to lift up on the transmission a little bit with the jack and a block of wood to get the bolt out. And then to get the whole mount out, I had to drop the transmission down a little bit because the mount has got this plate on it right here that kind of makes it awkward to get in and out of there. Which makes sense though, because the engine and transmission come up into the bottom of the car during the manufacturing process. So they don't like to go any more up because it's coming from the down. You get what I'm saying. So snatch that plate back on there and with the new one, slide it in there, get that bolted up, and then move over to the driver's side. All right, so in case you haven't noticed, on the time lapse, I've been really struggling with this. You see, these motor mounts, when they've been together for 25 years, they're like, married couples. They get settled in, they get comfortable. Then when you go try to change things, things don't seem to just go back the way that they were. So I'm gonna put the camera down and I'm just gonna fight with this thing, and we'll pick back up once I finally get this bolt to line up. All right, I can't lie, I'm beat, I've had it. This driver's side motor mount took way longer than it should have. See, it mounts to the front of the engine there, and then it mounts to the chassis with a bolt through here that goes through here and into a weld nut back there. The problem is on the new mount, where this bolt goes through was a little off from the way it should be, because the way a stud sticks up through this hole, I couldn't really twist that thing one way or the other, excuse me, to get it to where I needed it to be. So after fighting and prying with 15 different pry bars and not being able to get it right, I had one more trick up my sleeve before I gave in. I actually took the bracket loose from the motor on this mount, took the bolt back out of this mount that holds it to the chassis, and then I just dropped the jack and let the engine sag. Just let it drop, holding on by a thread on the mount back there. That gave me just enough angle to get that right. So by the time I was done with that, I just kept right on rolling because I already had that bracket loose there. So I went on ahead and changed the motor mount on the front. That was probably the worst one of them all because, well, here's a piece of it. If you've ever done motor mounts, you know that. You've seen that before. So I still got the big boy to put on. Oh, shit, that's probably real ugly. Big boy's got to go back on. That guy can wait till tomorrow. I'm wiped. It's bedtime. All right, back in the shop with the Honda. Got one last motor mount to go. It's down there. Yeah, that's the bolt for it right there. So I'm gonna get my jack back under it with a block of wood on there. You don't need to put a lot of force on that. Just enough to touch the oil pan. So when you take it all loose, it holds it there. Then you can adjust it up and down to get your fit right to get the new one back in. But I'll get that bolt out, get the jack under it, and then crawl under there and start dealing with the rest of it. And then I've got a lot of cleaning up to do around the shop because I've got too many things going on at once. But after that mount's done, we can get the car out of the shop and really get after some stuff. So here we go. Okay, so let's take a look at this together. And you'll notice I'm sweating a lot, even though it's about 6 o'clock in the evening. The garage door is closed, the fan is on. It is still about 87 degrees in the shop, but it's still cooler than it is outside. That being said, I'm sweating. Oh boy, I'm sweating. Not taking it for granted though. I could be like I used to. No garage at all. Carport, nothing, just gravel driveway. But I digress. Back to what we're looking at. I got that bolt out. The only problem is, let's shine a little light on there. There's nowhere under there for me to get in there and take the mount loose from the cross member and then get it out. So the only way to get that motor mount out is to go through everything, go through hell and high water. There's a bolt back here for the bracket it attaches to. Where you at down there? That bolt there you see down there in that hole, and some more bolts for some more brackets underneath, or take off the intake manifold. Guess what I'm not doing? Taking off the intake manifold. So we're going to time lapse this, and you guys are going to watch me very quickly struggle for like the next 3.5 hours. I don't know. When I'm done, I'll tell you how long it actually took, but I'm over it. I just want this car out of my shop. Okay, I got in such a get this done mode that I didn't even bother filming. Besides, who wants to watch me struggle with motor mounts on a 25-year-old Honda anyway? I will say this though, whatever struggles I went through with that motor mount, forget it. I mean, it's tenfold on that back one. Honda tech tip of the day: if you want to change the motor mounts on your 5th gen Accord, take the motor and transmission out. I swear it'll save you time and it'll be faster and easier. That being said, it's all done. Everything's buttoned up on the bottom. The only thing I've got to do now, throw an air filter in it, put the intake tube back on, and then we can get cleaned up, change the shirt, wash the hands, and take it for a drive. Here we go. All right, so it's running. I don't see oil spitting or flying anywhere. Nothing's on fire. It's doing what you would expect a Colt Honda to do. Hello. I don't see anything pouring out down here. So I'll let it get warmed up, get me cleaned up, and then we'll see how things go. All right, it may be a little hard to see me. I don't know. It's nighttime and iPhone. But get a different shirt on, cleaned up as I'm gonna be for right now. Take the car for a little spin and see what it does. Starts up just fine. I did notice when I was pulling out of the shop that this window is very slow. Like, seems fine going down, but when you put it down, it does not want to go back up until it gets up there. So, we'll see. Air conditioning, of course, works in the car. It's got a CD player, but that does not work because it's a Honda unit and it's asking for the code after the battery has been disconnected. I feel like we're set and ready to go. The vibration is almost completely gone. Like when I was bringing this car home, when I first got it to the house, like the whole dash and steering wheel were shaking all over the place and you can hardly feel anything. Now, of course, we're in park now. Put it in gear. There's a little bit of vibration, but it's not crazy terrible like it was before. Vibrations are good. Motor mounts seem to be doing what I need them to. And aha! You can't see it, but the speedometer works. And along with that, there's no check engine lights on. Just gonna kind of listen. I think I hear something when I'm out of the throttle coasting, but I want to get more than 20 mile an hour out of it before I make a conclusion. Oh yeah, you may not be able to hear it at this speed. We're doing about 25 miles an hour, but I'm almost 100% sure that the front wheel bearings are bad. And we'll take it out onto a little bit faster road and see what we get out of it. Transmission doesn't feel like it's slipping at all. Shifts are very firm. Yeah, those wheel bearings are definitely shot. Well, that's another part we'll be replacing. I also hear a lot of engine noise in the cabin. And I thought I noticed that when I was first driving it home, but I didn't really think anything of it. I almost wonder if the boot on the steering shaft is loose or something like that. I can hear engine down there is what I'm saying. The bearing noise goes away on right turns. It gets louder on left. That being said though, I'm not going to worry about which side's bad, because normally you want to just go ahead and do them both. If you do know exactly which one's bad and then you change it, like, never fails. A month later the other one goes out anyway. Just do them in pairs. One thing I don't like about these Honda automatics, I had a 6th gen Accord that was the 2.3 VTEC with the automatic. They like to hang out in gear all day long. I'd prefer the thing shift at 2,000 RPM if I don't have my foot in it, but they just like to hang out. Of course, I say that now that I'm doing 40, it's turning 1,600 RPM. About to turn out onto a section of road, I can get a little bit of go under it. Drives like a 25-year-old Honda. Suspension's a little soft, but it could be worse. If this were a 97 Toyota Camry, I'd be bouncing around all over the place right now. Alright, so first test drive after the work is done. Still got some work to do. Wheel bearings in the front need to be replaced. I can hear engine noise, road noise down here in the floorboard, so I need to look into that. Then, of course, the final cleanup and prep. Oh, and that seal on the back window over there. I could sell this car right now as it is without doing any of that stuff and not have to worry about it, but I am going to try to get the most out of this car in return. So a couple more dollars and a couple more hours for some things, and it'll be worth it for me and the person that buys it. Get on the old Rock Auto and see what I can come up with there and get right to it, get on to the next thing. But for now, it can sit back outside. Hopefully it doesn't leak oil all over the place. That's one thing I'll need to do, is I'll need to maybe drive it a little bit more and check it for oil leaks, especially in the places where I just have parts off of it. See if I see anything fresh coming out of it, or the level going down inside the case. So more to come. Well, that's gonna do it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Remember, sometimes you gotta do things the hard way.